Is applying in the late rounds a mistake or a smart move? If you're wondering whether you should submit your application now or wait until the next cycle, this video will help you decide. There are real pros and cons to submitting in the late rounds, which are usually round 3 and later, and I'll break them down so that you can make the best choice for you. Hi, I'm Caitlin Anderson, graduate admissions consultant and Oxford MBA who has helped hundreds of students win interviews and offers to all the top business schools in the world, including Harvard, Stanford, Oxford, MIT, and Yale, and win over $1 million in scholarships. First, let's define what we mean when we say late rounds. Most schools will have 3 rounds, but some will have 4, 5, or even rolling admissions. What I mean when I say late rounds is round 3 and beyond. These deadlines are usually between March and May for MBA programs, but may even be later for specialized master's programs. My golden rule is you should only apply when your application is as strong as it possibly can be across all the areas. GMAT, GRE, TOEFL, IELTS, essays, references, work, volunteering, and leadership experience. So if your application is as strong as it can be, I might advise you to apply in a later round for the following reasons. Number 1, last minute changes. If you improved your GMAT or GRE score or got a work promotion, I may advise you to apply in a later round. Number 2, the rolling admission strategy. Now, this is a strategy that I sometimes advise my students to take when they've added a ton of super reach schools to their school lists. I have 4 main categories that I use for my students to add schools to their lists: super reach schools, reach, target, and safety. Now, if I have a student who has added a ton of super reach schools to their school lists, I may advise them to apply in earlier rounds to the top super reach schools. And then if they don't get a positive response from those schools, I may tell them to apply to schools with rolling deadlines later on. This is helpful for a few reasons. First of all, when they do the interviews for the super reach schools and they're asked, what other business schools have you applied to? They can say, your school is my top choice school, and so I decided to apply only to you first. If it doesn't work out, then I will submit applications to schools that have rolling deadlines. Another reason I would advise a student to use the rolling admission strategy is to save money. So what happens when a student applies to all their schools in the same round is oftentimes they will hear back from their target and safety schools before they hear back from their reach and super reach schools. And that presents a problem because they now have to submit a non-refundable deposit to hold the place of the target or safety school they did get the offer from before they know whether they've gotten into the reach or super reach schools. So I will tell the student to apply to the top choice schools first in earlier rounds, and then schools that maybe are target or safety schools that have rolling deadlines later on. Examples of schools with rolling admissions are Imperial College and LSE. Let's talk about the risks of applying in later rounds. Well, first, there are fewer spots available normally. Admissions committees will typically fill their classes in the first few rounds, and so if you're applying in a later round, your competition is going to be tougher. This means there's a higher bar of admittance, so if your application isn't really strong, then it's going to be more of a risk for you to apply in a later round. Next is visa issues for international students. If you need a student visa, then applying in later rounds could make it harder to get that visa processed on time, which might cause the admissions committees to pause on your application because they don't want to offer it to people that can't attend because of visa issues. Now, keep in mind as well that a lot of schools will have final hard international deadlines for this reason. Finally, there may be fewer scholarship opportunities available to you in later rounds. Many schools will allocate their funding in the first few rounds, and so you may get into that school, but without financial aid. So who should apply now versus who should wait until next year? Well, we're gonna go back to my golden rule with this one. You should apply now if you have a strong application, meaning excellent test scores, a compelling personal story, and solid work experience. You should wait until next year if your application is not quite ready, meaning you have weak essays or average test scores, or you're rushing any part of your application. You should also wait till next year if you're relying on scholarship to be able to afford tuition. And you should wait if you are applying to highly competitive schools that have very low acceptance rates in the later rounds. So should you apply in late rounds? If your profile is strong and you're prepared, then go for it. But if any part of your application could be significantly improved, then I would normally recommend that you wait until round 1 or round 2 of the following year. If you're unsure, I offer one-on-one consulting and on-demand programs, so you can check out the link below. If you found this video helpful, then hit the like, subscribe, and leave a comment about whether you're applying in later rounds. I'd love to hear from you. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.